Welcome to Hunting Cast. Today we're joined with Mr. Nathan Keys.
Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about the last phases of rut. Also as well, we're going to talk about tree stand safety. We have a few questions left over from last week. So Colton, what have you been seeing?
It's definitely still fired up. For me, I don't think I've seen as much action as I would have, about a week and a half ago. They definitely are still seeking and chasing, but obviously it's as minor as the beginning of the rut. I definitely think this course of the next week, 2 weeks, you'll start seeing some changes into food patterns or going towards more food. But that's what I've been seeing. What have you been seeing, Drew?
I've been seeing quite a bit of activity still. I feel like it's important this time of year of like where you're hunting at.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people just hunt does, and right now I feel like if you're just hunting strictly where all the does are, I don't think you're going to see as much bucks this time of year. But I do think this time of year is like super good to catch a deer traveling from a mile or two away seeking those late estrus does. But like this morning I went and seen 4 bucks. Most of them were chasing does and cruising through. And then I went this evening and seen the big 6 I've been after here lately. He was chasing a doe, came grunting, running by me. I couldn't get a shot on him because he was going like 40 miles an hour. I mean, he was hauling.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like here, there, and gone.
Yeah.
But recently I've switched it up. I've switched farms I hunt, trying to get on the only mature deer that I pretty much got on camera. So that's where I'm at right now. But I do think they're still chasing pretty good. What about you, Troy?
I've been not as much as last week for sure, like Colton said. It's definitely still fired up. I don't know how much longer it'll last, but
It's like a light switch.
yeah, it was still definitely seeing some chasing. What about you?
Well, me, where I'm kind of toward the western part of the county, seems more to me like in the last, I'd say the last 9 to 12 days, my deer have been more kind of on lockdown. And I'm not seeing very much buck activity, but as far as seeing does, I mean, we've got 3 or 4 guys scattered out that's, I mean, just does, and I hardly see a single buck at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like to me, in the last, I'd say within the last 48 hours, the last 2 or 3 hunts. I mean, this morning I had a good friend, he's seen 5 different bucks this morning. He said 6 this evening. So, and even on the way over here, I've seen more. I think, in my opinion, coming off lockdown where I'm at, trying to find them, them last few does that ain't got bred yet. So I think mainly just kind of depends on what area, what the deer's in, what kind of what their cycles are. Probably more than likely, in my opinion, all the older does probably done bred up, and now the one deer that's year and a half yearlings, like that, they're probably just now starting to come in estrus, kind of toward the 1st of December. I've seen a lot in the last several years. But me, I think just like, anywhere else, it just depends on kind of where your location's at and what your deer are doing. But I think we still got at least 2 good solid 2 weeks of activity left around where we're at here.
At least.
Yeah, I've seen them chasing like late muzzleloader before.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
like second weekend of December, I think is when that comes in.
Yeah.
You'll still get deer chasing, and they're still responding to grunt calls.
And right now, I feel like you'll start seeing, like, going into December, you'll start seeing a lot more bucks that you've seen early season, because whenever they left your farm back in September, October, they're going to their area that they usually rut, and then towards the end of season, which is usually around December, January, you'll start seeing those bucks come back.
Yeah, I'm already seeing that a little bit. They're kind of getting back in their home ranges.
It's pretty nice, especially whenever you had a shooter that you had on camera in August, September, and haven't seen him since then. So
I've had a few velvet bucks come back that I hadn't seen since they shed, but this week especially, I've seen a couple come back. Pretty nice buck that I'm hoping to get. Definitely gonna try to get him with the bow. You don't want to hop into this tree stand safety. We got a personal experience.
Technical experience.
We're gonna pop the video up if y'all want to watch it. Please do.
Tree stand safety. And this was hanging a stand actually. Me and Nathan were hanging a stand.
number one thing I can say for the video is just don't ever try to cut no corners. Make sure, I don't care how tough you are, how many times you did it, you just never know. Did it a handful of times in my life, and the last thing I ever would have thought would happen, this is what happened. So.
Here's the video. Pretty nasty fall there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took.
Lucky you had somebody with you for
If
sure.
it wasn't for Drew, man.
Still gets me about shook up just to watch it.
Like I say, it's just kind of one of them things. You know, I've hunted majority of my life. You know, did the same things. You know, there's nothing different besides, you know, me trying to be in a hurry, trying to get out of there before the deer coming in. I didn't put my lineman belt on, just put it on a regular belt, just common sense things. Just trying to cut corners, and ended up, it was about 27 feet is what I fell. Kind of halfway down, I think the way me and Drew, everybody just kind of picked it out that my leg got hung, and that's really the only kind of thing that broke my fall.
Yeah.
So I started falling kind of backwards, and then as my foot got hung on the sticks, it kind of, course, slowed me down. I tried to catch myself with my hands, snapped this wrist in 3 places, broke my C7 and my C9 in my neck, and I think I ended up getting 14 stitches in my head. So very lucky to be here right now. Just all there is to it.
Very lucky.
Yeah. I mean, it was a creek bed too. That was the worst part. That's what he hit his head on the rock.
Landing.
I mean, I will say this, like, not trying to change the aspects of this, but like, I feel like that's why a lot of the new things that have came out, like with saddle hunting, you're hooked in the whole time.
Right.
If you do it correctly,
if you're doing it right, yeah.
If you do it correctly and don't cut corners, you are hooked in the whole time. But like, even in your instance, you know, I'll be the first one to tell you that I've put up ladders, put up stands, all sorts of time without being hooked in, and I'll lie to you, and I can guarantee you that there's multiple hunters, all of the hunters that have done it, went up there without being hooked in at all, and I mean, it's not worth it.
It ain't worth it, no.
To me, the thing I've noticed in the last couple of years, especially, is you hear more about hunting accidents happening.
Yeah.
And you'll notice now that you didn't see back years ago. They're selling lifelines. When you buy a tree stand, they're selling lifelines with them. And I think lifeline's probably the best thing made, because once you put a lifeline on, whether you're hanging it, climbing the stand, or even hunting, and you're hooked off at all times, and you ain't gonna break that.
If worn correctly.
Right.
Past few weeks, we've seen a couple accidents local that people have wore them, but they wore them incorrectly. And
yeah, well, that's like certain safety harnesses. Like, I've wore one that came with a cheap tree stand. It was probably, I think it was like a Walmart tree stand or something.
I know Muddy sells them with them, but
it might have been Maristep.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, 9 times out of 10 you buy a stand, it comes with a cheap harness.
Right.
But this thing, like, no matter how you wear it, it seemed like it's got 2 braces going across your chest, and I mean, they're way up here. So I was like, if you fall, there's a chance that could choke you. I ain't good.
it's 100% worth spending the extra dollar.
Yeah. Hunter safety, I would say, I mean, me personally, I wear Muddy, and that's just, I've always worn it, and I think they're comfortable because they're light. But if you're going to spend the money, Hunter safety system by far. That's probably the next thing I'll switch to is Hunter safety system. I mean, it's just,
it's usually a harness or a vest.
mine's vest.
Yeah.
That's what I got, the Hunter Safety System vest. I like it. It's got the pockets and stuff in it.
You have something like that happen, it really open your eyes on what you start,
Even-
taking more precautions and stuff.
Even just hearing about it too.
Yeah. I think it kind of actually opened eyes a lot of people, really. But
I tell you what I like doing is using my saddle. When I hang lock-ons, I don't hang a lot of them, but using my saddle for that,
It's a game changer.
yeah, it's super nice because you can hang there and then you can get all the way around the tree wherever you want to, and you're hanging there secured. I mean, it's super safe.
that's one thing about the saddle I ain't had to. I haven't committed to the saddle yet because it's kind of same position I was in when I fell. So it just kind of. I mean, I've heard everybody's talking about the saddle, and I'm probably eventually gonna go to it. But it's kind of one of them things you gotta kind of get real comfortable with. And me personally, I mean, the way that some of these new Millennium stands are and aluminum platforms, I mean, you can almost, if you're not hunting, a little bitty tree area, you can about almost, in my opinion, hang a tree stand just as fast. If you're going to be hunting, the same tree. But that's the thing I like about the saddles. Public land, or if you're, bouncing back and forth on properties. I've heard a lot about the saddles. If you don't have a tree very big at all, and, you can bounce back and forth. If you want to lock in on a buck or anything, or wherever you're hunting, you can with the saddle. I think it's a complete game changer.
It is a game changer.
Possibilities are pretty much endless.
Once you get used to it.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to point out is early mornings climbing the stands,
Yeah.
ladder stands anyway. Frost. That's you wouldn't
Early
realize
morning.
how slick a tree stand can
The
get
opening morning when we got
when it
some rain.
snowed and rained
Yeah.
and sleeted and
They
everything
get
else.
real bad.
Yeah. My platform, all my stands are pretty much homemade. They're like retired aluminum ladders with big old, I'd say probably 4x4 platforms on them, but they're the wire mesh, and that top was just pure ice and it was slick. I had to took the sling off my bow, laid it down just to stand on it to give it a little more traction, because I would stand up and my feet would feel like they were sliding out from under me.
I'll tell you the thing that I've really been checking a lot of especially my lock-ons, is the cables.
The cables.
It goes
The
from your
cables, yeah.
back of your stand to your platform. I mean, a good buddy of ours last year,
Yeah.
he just
There's
like
a
anything
lock-on
else,
stand,
yeah,
too.
lock on stand, got up, stretched his legs, cable snapped, fell 25 feet. You know, it's just kind
That's
of
what
one
a
of
lot
the
of
things.
people don't pay attention to.
Yeah.
They think they replace their straps every year too, or every 3 or 4 years.
I know a lot of people they swap those out for chains because
Yeah.
chains are going to rust out and break.
But you know, them cables are coated, and they're 1/4 inch cable, but you know, they erode just like anything else.
Yeah.
You know, I would recommend here lately, you know, especially since my accident, I try to not hang a stand in the same spot or without replacing cable stuff no more than 4 years. That's just me. And that's probably
It's
stressing it a lot.
good to take them down every year, to be honest.
Yeah,
Just leave them out.
If you do leave it out, I'd swap it out that
right.
following season.
And
Absolutely.
a lot of people use ratchet straps,
Yeah.
and they'll come hunting season, they won't replace them, and then they're like, well, might as well just go ahead and hunt it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then you got a 2-year-old ratchet strap that's been sitting in the sun and all
Or
the
5 or
elements.
6 years.
Yeah,
Right.
even that. And it's been sitting in all the elements.
Yeah.
And
You know, you
Dry
have some
rot.
people say, you know, well, the trees grow around my stand. Well, that don't matter. You know, what do you think? If you tighten up a ratchet strap on something, if a tree that's this big, well, in 2 years it goes this big. What do you think the tension on the ratchet strap is?
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing that gets me about a lot of people, because and you have some of these stands people have out for 10 years and not have a problem in the world.
Yeah. If it's a
But-
ladder stand, it's not that. It's
Right.
not as big of a deal, but.
But especially lock on them, one thing I would think here lately is to make sure your straps and your cables.
You don't have anything supporting that lock on other
Right.
than that
strap.
ratchet strap.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a big difference.
Yeah.
But I still wouldn't recommend having a ladder stand up there that you've had for 20 years
Right.
and had the same
Ratchet
ratchet
strap
strap.
or
Some people do, like,
ladder stands are just as dangerous, I think, as lock-ons. In my
there
opinion.
is a few that are, like, fastened to the tree with no chain.
Yeah.
And if you got a chain growing to a tree, hunt that thing.
Chain's the way to go on a ladder stand for
Yeah.
sure. I don't know about a lock on. Maybe if you had a good binder on it, but
It wouldn't be a
heavy.
bad
Yeah.
idea to, like, have a chain as a backup.
yeah.
There is different systems I've seen that you can lock on your stand itself.
Like
It's
the
a
clamps.
different- Yeah, it's a clamp that goes on the tree, and you tighten it up, and then you just take your snap and you just lock it on that, and it's
Oh,
done.
yeah, I've seen those.
I know majority, especially some of the majority of the older Millennium stands, they come with chains. You know, you'll see some of the stands you'll buy, you can buy a chain or a strap, chain and strap. And if you're going to spend the money, I think you'll go ahead and get the chain with it, at least one chain on it.
Like Drew said, once that chain and that platform both go into that tree,
Yeah.
especially if you have a binder on it, and then like Nathan said, the tree growing, you could always loosen that binder.
Yeah.
But once it grows into the tree and it swallows that chain, it's usually not going to put any more pressure on it.
Not very often, though.
Yeah,
You don't see very many stands with chains on them anymore.
I got a few.
Yeah, but they're old.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Hard to beat too.
What you know, at this time of year, focusing on like this last week of November going into December, what is y'all's like tactics in going in and hunting? Since it is obviously we're not in that peak rut where all of the bucks and all of the does are in full estrus or anything like that, but like where is y'all's main spots? Like whether it be food, hardwoods, doe bedding, where are y'all hunting right now?
Probably closer to food is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, like this evening, I wasn't in food,
Yeah.
but I was close to it and kind of I got some bedding around me, got some scrapes around me, rubs, food, kind of a little bit of everything. And I've seen a lot more bucks. Like I've seen 6 different bucks today, I guess, and only 3 or 4 does maybe. But
I think like right now, I think success-wise, hunting close to food, you're gonna have pretty good high chances because those bucks and does, that have been running for the past 2 weeks are
Yeah.
definitely going to stop and eat something.
Especially with
know.
colder weather coming
Yeah.
on too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, I would say, kind of hitting on what Drew said, kind of transition areas from bedding to food. You know, because you already say, even mature bucks have been laid up with their 5 or 6 does they've got. They're going to have to get up and start checking more.
Mhm.
But like you say, if they've been running for the last month, as hard as they can go, especially I would think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, food is number one thing I think in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you can get a transition area from bedding to food, I mean, especially like I say, come December, then of course you got January coming in like that. I would say food here in the next couple of weeks by far.
And I feel like that's a big thing right now, like, because those bucks are still going to be cruising those food plots, whether you got food plots or corn out. They're going to be cruising those spots because the does are going to be in there,
Right.
you know, trying to get their winter reserves up for the winter. And I mean, you're going to catch a buck slipping in there to see if there's a hot doe. So I feel like that's going to be kind of a win-win situation.
Kind of hit on what you said earlier too, Colton, about the your bucks in their summer areas. You know, they've been on their rut ranges, and here they are. You know, you could have had a good deer you want to hunt in September, August, going away, and if it was lucky enough to make it through rifle season and come through rut, you know, the bucks. If you've got a buck pattern, I'd say at least 3.5-year-old deer, they're automatic. I would think, in my opinion, they're going to come back to their home range.
Yeah.
From the months,
Real good
from the
chance
months
of it.
last December to, like I say, around to the August next year, they're gonna stay in the home range. So I would think just mainly food, and
Yeah.
you know, if you've got a buck that you're not for sure about, I wouldn't give up on him right now. I would say if you had him in the months, you know, the summer months, the summer areas, 1st October, I would say if he made it, he'll be back to his home range. I'd say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good deer killed after gun season during,
Right.
Oh,
during
yeah.
late bow.
Right.
If you stick it out, it's a good time to hunt.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
I've had a
just-
lot of success in middle of December, especially late muzzleloader season.
Yeah,
That's
it.
some of my best I ever had late muzzleloader season.
Yeah, and I think this time of year they're kind of tightening back down. You can kind of get a deer. They're still chasing, but you can kind of get a deer kind of on a pattern.
Yeah, they're not getting as
Or
aggressive.
more of a focused area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're still chasing, but you can kind of.
I tell you, like, a lot of people talk about the rut as like the best time to kill a deer, but honestly, it's like the worst time to kill like your mature buck that you've been hunting or have had pictures of,
It's
because it goes from like this deer's focused in this one area to he's half a mile, 2 miles away from where you had first been getting pictures of him, and like, yeah, your chances might be higher of seeing him in daylight, but it's also higher for that neighbor or your brother or your cousin to see him too. So I mean, it's definitely.
it's a good time of year to kill a buck that you've never seen before.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Great time
I'll
of year.
agree on that.
But like we were talking about, you know, those September, August deer coming back, you can get them on pattern. You know where they're at. It's almost like clockwork at some points, you know,
Yeah.
if you're lucky. But
Yeah.
definitely be watching the cameras and figuring
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say too. We were talking about where to hunt, and I mean, as many cell cameras as we've got, and pretty much everybody has these days. I mean, you're gonna be wherever the big deer are on your cameras
Yeah.
if they're there in the daylight.
Yeah.
And if they're not there in the daylight, then you might try to figure something out. But that's just about the way it goes anymore.
Yeah.
But
I think that comes back to hunting the camera too. Like
Yeah.
that segment we had about
It'll hurt, but it'll, you know.
Yeah,
It'll
it
help.
can help you out in a lot of chances, but in the same way, it also.
in my opinion, like the easiest time of year to kill a deer is literally opening weekend of bow season, if you've got them.
Yeah.
If we're talking about like deer on a pattern, I mean it's almost like clockwork if you've
Yeah.
got them. If you don't have them, then yeah, you're looking at rut.
I think
That's
December,
how- but-
as far as like if you have a really good food source, a green food
Yeah.
source, plus corn or soybean field that's been picked or not been picked very well, I feel like that increases your chances quite a bit.
Or if they sowed wheat.
Yeah, winter wheat.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've noticed a lot too. More, you know, you come out, you get some people throwing out 5, 6, 7 corn piles around, you know, 150-acre tract, just trying to catch bucks during the rut, moving back and forth.
Yeah.
But now I feel like it's time of year now you could focus into 1 or 2 main spots to
Cutting back.
draw the deer to them one specific spots. I think, in my opinion,
Yeah.
that this is the best time of year to do that right there.
Yep.
I love like
Make them
hunting
come to you, don't go to them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
hunting like a cut cornfield this time of year
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something. Cut corn has been my best luck, but even like cut beans, or if you got some winter wheat growing or something, some kind of green source, man. I mean, it seems like deer just pour into the field of the evenings. It's a lot of fun.
You want to hit on some of these questions?
Yeah.
We already hit on one. Colton covered it. He didn't know these questions, so I was kind of lucky there. So let's do 3 things you wouldn't go into the woods without.
We'll start with Nathan on this.
Well, anymore, me personally, bow hunting, I'm going in the woods with a pistol. It's just me, because I can tell in the last 5 or 6 years, especially, bobcats, predators. If you walk up on, let's say, a bobcat with a litter of little ones,
Kick it out of the way.
No, them things are aggressive. I think, me personally, it's just my thing. If I'm bow hunting, I've always got a pistol with me.
I never carry one.
I would say, especially.
Sometimes I wish I did have one.
Yeah.
Like I had a bobcat or a coyote come under me a couple weeks ago. But go ahead.
And I would say, especially during off season, make sure you've got your orange on.
Well, yeah.
With people out, you just don't know about people. That's just my
A
opinion.
lot of people need to hear that. A lot of people don't wear it.
Yeah.
Third one, I would say Troy.
Safety on it.
But here lately, and I've really been focused on is make sure, watch the scent control. That's just my biggest thing here in the last couple of years. I've been trying to focus on is scent control for this. You can outsmart the deer with that scent, get some kind of cover scent, or taking a scent-free shower before you go. I think that's.
Let's hit on
That's
that
my
real
three.
quick.
Like control.
Yeah, just real quick. Like, back in the old days, they sit there and smoke cigarettes and drink beer and killed huge deer.
Yeah.
Do you think the deer have gotten smarter or
Well, here's
people
the
have gotten
thing.
dumber?
No.
How much?
I
Back
think it
then,
still happens.
Back then, I feel like though, the archery has blown up
Yeah.
in the past 20 years just because of the introduction of compound bows. So like, I feel like scent cover and like scent elimination is a big thing for bow hunting. I feel like 30 years ago, whenever you seen those guys wearing flannels and a Carhartt jacket and smoking a cigarette, they were sitting in a deer stand and shot the deer 200 yards
Right.
away, and the wind, really doesn't make much difference there unless the wind's just blowing straight at
That's a
that
fair
deer.
point, yeah.
And also, I will say the rut. If you have a buck running in on you chasing a doe, it does not matter if
Like-
you're standing there 20 feet away. He don't care.
Unless that doe hits you.
Like
Yeah.
that deer tonight.
Yeah.
If he would have ran through there and stopped right downwind of me, he would have been there long enough for me to shoot him.
Yeah.
But he didn't stop.
But
I've noticed
that's
too
my take on it.
that you'll see most people got these old box blinds that's been out 10 or 12 years. The deer get used to that.
Burning propane.
Right.
Yeah.
My opinion, scent elimination is the number one thing. But like I say, you've got some of these guys come out here smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee. They're going to see just as many deer as you are. But like I said, what Colton said about the archery thing, I think archery, the compound bow is probably one of the best things ever. If you're looking for a bigger challenge, I think. But I would say definitely, you're going to have the guys come out here opening day rifle season, and they're going to kill 150-inch deer, and they're going to be no camo, blue jeans, drinking coffee.
Yeah.
Then, it's just, if you want to put your time into it, I think more if you're going to be hunting tree stands, that's the number one thing you look at. If you're going to be sitting in a box blind and stuff like that, go with it.
Can we touch on that for a second? I know it's kind of off.
Let me touch on the scent for a
Go
little bit.
ahead.
I've kind of ran my own study this year, to be honest. No, but every year since, I guess for about 4 years straight, I keep all my hunting clothes in a tote. I spray them down, like before I put them in there every time after I get in hunting, and put them in this big plastic tote. So, they smell just like my scent killer. And then I usually spray down again before I go into the woods. And this year, I ain't hit it a lick. And I'll be honest, I do think more deer have busted me this year. I've tried to play the wind game, as much as possible. And I don't hunt a spot if I don't have good wind. But of course, you're gonna have deer get downwind of you anyways. And I feel like they have busted me more. I get busted with scent killer anyways. I feel like it's almost my take of it. Like the wind app I got, it shows a cone of what your scent's doing, and it's almost like scent killer will narrow that cone down. But if they get straight downwind,
They're going
of
to
it,
bust you no matter what
Yeah.
they get right where they want to.
But I definitely think it helps quite a bit.
Me, if you're going to spend the money, I think the best thing I've purchased in the last couple of years as far as scent, I got one of them scent lockers. Now,
You believe in that?
Yeah.
Like the card?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. I've really been able to tell the difference. Me, you come in, I was usually first or second time hunting, I wash my clothes. Then every time I come in, throw them in a scent locker for 10, 15 minutes. And then don't touch them, you go back hunting, and then of course spray down the field. But like Drew said, if you've got a deer directly down wind to you, especially like an old doe, mature doe, she's going to catch you. But if you've got deer just cruising through, I think if you're running your scent control, they ain't gonna.
Here's another thing that I think is temperature. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like if it's below freezing, I think it helps a ton. But if it's 50, 60, 80, 90, if it's 90 degrees, man, deer will win you so hard.
Yeah.
They're so bad.
Absolutely.
Especially body odor too.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And I just feel like scent just stirs when it's warm.
You can't stop that whenever you're hot and stuff. But
No.
like, I wanted to touch on this because like it kind of different, but the whole compound bow thing and crossbows have been kind of introduced in the past couple of years. What is y'all's thoughts on that? Like crossbows, and because I was watching a video the other night and they were talking about how like compound bows, back whenever they first started getting introduced, a lot of people were saying hated on compound bows because they were cheating. The same instance the way a lot of people have negative comments on crossbows.
Crossbows that shoot 100 yards.
Yeah.
That's me. I mean, I've got the Raven R10, and I mean, you can take that thing, it's shooting right at 350 feet a second, 375, and you can take that thing and shoot 100 yards, and you can shoot a pattern as tight as you want. I think personally,
Would you shoot a buck, mature buck at 100 yards with it?
absolutely not. I don't think.
There's
I
people out there that
don't
do
think.
that.
I don't think. Just like
What's your
archery,
range?
I'm comfortable with anything I got, and some people think it's silly. 60 yards, by far with a crossbow. I don't shoot a deer over 45ish with a compound. I would not shoot a deer over 60 with a crossbow. That's just me, because I'm sickening after what happened in the early season this year. I did not make non-lethal shots on deer.
Yeah.
With me, crossbows. I mean, especially with the technology coming out now, the crossbows. I mean, it's crazy. I mean. You've got 3 weeks. You've got 3 weeks of first of season, which is archery only.
Yeah.
But
I
after
don't
the
think you
first,
got 3 weeks
I think it's
anymore.
2.
yeah. Well, after the first week of
It might
October,
be
it's
3
crossbow
weeks.
all the way through. And I think especially for people that's had let's say shoulder accidents or shoulder surgery,
I think it's
like
cool that they
it's
do
cool.
the youth now.
Yeah. But me, I think if you're gonna spend the money, crossbow. It's just my opinion. I love shooting my crossbow. It's accurate, just accurate as a gun. But I'm not saying nothing about my compound bow, because I love shooting my compound bow too, but just the fact that the crossbow, it's how accurate they are,
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
and lethal, that's just my opinion.
A whole lot easier.
All right, let's
I
get
think-
back on these 3 things real quick.
Okay.
Let's finish this question up. Colton, what do you got?
Now what?
3 things you wouldn't go in the woods without.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, we didn't even finish that?
Yeah, we
No,
didn't
we got
finish that
Nathan,
one. Definitely, I mean, if we're going in like right now, my grunt tube, that's like my number one like go-to. Like if you do not have a really good grunt tube, you're missing out. And I know a lot of people that say that they haven't called in deer. I've grunted multiple times and never called in a deer, but the amount of times that I've grunted in multiple deer also outweighs that. So I think that's a number one thing on my list. Number 2, I would probably say doe pee. Estrus doe pee. I like using it for a scent cover, not even so much to bring in a deer, but just a scent cover, because for a scent it just adds on that other extra layer of protection of my scent.
Let's twist this a little bit. Let's do all of deer season, not just like right now.
Okay. Well, I would do doe pee, just regular doe pee.
Yeah.
That'd be a, grunt tube. Obviously, I wouldn't be using that in September, but oh man, you just made that harder on me now.
Changing it up a little bit.
Some good scent elimination. I mean, going to the stand, getting in the stand, scent wipes. That's a big thing, especially in like September. If you're hunting early season, it's 75, 85 degrees some days. I think that's a big thing. Hunting early season is hunting the correct times, but scent elimination, doe pee, just to add on that extra layer of protection. Dang, you made it hard on me for that.
Well, we can come back to you and you stop right there if you want.
Y'all can go ahead.
Go ahead, Drew.
Drew. Let's hear your
Cup of
I would
coffee.
say I'm gonna say rangefinder
Yep.
That's
is
for
one
sure.
of my big things.
Water. That'd be my other one.
There you
So many times I've gone to the stand that's ruined my hunt because I didn't have a water with me.
Yeah.
go. And if it's up in the morning, I do like to have me a thermos coffee. I wouldn't say I wouldn't go to the woods without it, but I don't like going to the woods without it,
Old Papa.
Warms the soul.
especially on cold mornings.
Yeah.
So we got rangefinder, and what I like to do with my rangefinder, I wear it around my neck sometimes, but sometimes I'll just pick where I know deer will most likely be, or pick me some openings, or pick a tree or two, and kind of get some ranges in my head. That way I'm not like trying to range a buck while he's right there. But so
Garmin rangefinder bow sight.
those ain't legal in a lot of states.
Those things are heavy too. Do you see how big those things are?
They're expensive too.
I mean, they're like, off the bow, they're like that big around. I'm like, that just seems kind of
It's
out of
cool,
place.
and probably my camera gear, to be honest. Anymore, if I didn't have it, I'd kind of be like, nah, I don't know about this.
It gives you something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It gives you something to do.
It makes it more challenging, I think, especially in the last 2 years I've been trying to self-film. It's just added more of a challenge to it. 'Cause if you're sitting here, have a bow in this hand, 150-inch deer coming to you, and you're sitting here trying to run the film, I think it's just more. I think it
not
makes
easy
makes
at
it more of a challenge. Oh, people don't realize. I never would have thought it would have been this challenging. People don't realize. Well, you just come here and film a hunt. No, there's a whole lot more to it than that. Especially self-film. If you got lucky enough to have somebody with you,
It's the same with turkey hunting, too.
yeah, for sure. But if you're lucky enough to got somebody with you, it's just, to me, it feels like a whole big weight off your shoulders. But if you're sitting here trying to self-film it, it's a complete different
That's like
ballgame.
this evening, dude. When that doe, I heard that grunting and that buck come running through there chasing that doe, dude. And I was like trying to do something with the camera, and I was trying to grab my bow because I knew it was a good deer. And I was like, man, if he would have stopped for like 2 to 3 seconds, or just long enough for me to shoot, more like 10 seconds, I don't think I could have got the camera on him and shot.
Yeah.
Well, here's my take on that. If a camera's gonna cost me a deer, I'm not gonna film it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna worry first. I'm gonna worry about shooting the deer. If I know I cannot if I don't have enough time to get the camera on, I'm not gonna waste time putting the camera on and pulling back to shoot. You
I
see
see
what I'm
that
saying?
so many times on TV. Yeah,
Yeah.
we lost camera light, but I had my shooter out here 20 yards. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not that
Shoot
person.
it.
Sorry, buddy.
You just
I'd have
gotta-
shot him and videoed the blood trail and everything
Yeah.
after that.
Like with the deer I've been after the past few days, I'm pretty much not gonna shoot him unless he's on camera. Just because he's such a regular around here, and he made it through gun season. Gun season ends tomorrow. I mean, I think he's gonna make it, so I feel like I've got time. and I
One
just
more
wanna
day,
get
there's a
on camera.
chance.
There is a chance.
Yeah.
3 things that I would take with me. I'm gonna go along with the scent killer. Definitely a hunter safety system and toilet paper.
Yeah.
You know how many shirt sleeves and socks
Yeah.
have been wasted?
Sacrificed.
Yeah.
Hoodies.
They're lying in every woods.
Yeah. Toilet paper.
Man's
Biodegradable.
gotta go, my hands gotta go.
Yeah.
I always do.
Biodegradable.
And that'd run a hunt, you know.
Yeah.
Gotta go all the way to the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really have that problem.
I got IBS.
Oh man.
Next question.
Did Nathan answer that?
Yeah. Wait, you gave one thing that no.
Yeah, the scent killer.
I'm gonna say binoculars too.
Yeah.
Binoculars. I like taking binoculars.
Well, like what Drew hit on the rangefinder, I really, rangefinder's the same thing. Rangefinder completely changed the game, I think, in a lot of different ways. So,
Yeah.
rangefinder will by far be, if you always have a top 5, rangefinder will be in there too.
All right. Next question. What's your worst hunt?
Oh goodness.
Drew, you wanna start this one?
I don't know if I really have one. I mean,
All hunts are
I'll
good
say-
in some ways, but
yeah. I'll
Learning
say
experience.
one of my worst hunts this year. This might be my worst hunt overall, to be honest. I went hunting this year, and I look at the radar, and I'm checking it. It's like early bow season. I think deer were still in their velvet first week or so of bow season. And I was wanting to go hunting. I hadn't had any chances to go there recently. And had a good wind or whatever, and there's a storm coming in. I get on my radar and I check it, and I'm like, man, I think this thing's gonna go right past me. And I get set up. I got my camera gear and everything, dude. And I mean, it was pretty warm. I think it was like 75 degrees. I got hot going there. It had rained earlier in the day, so I got soaking wet. I had to go through weeds like 5 feet tall. I got soaking wet. Had to walk like half a mile or 6/10 of a mile to get back here. And I finally get set up, man. I'm sitting up there, and I mean that storm came through, and it was rough.
I think I was hunting that same day.
I didn't have a dry stitch on me, and everything got soaked. I had my camera gear tucked back in my pack as deep as I could, trying to keep it dry, and that was pretty rough.
That's one thing about where I'm at. I'm a good 30 minutes from here. Most times if it's raining in my house, Drew and Troy, they've at least got about 35 minutes before it gets to them. Because most time of the way all the weather comes, it hits my house, and in 30 minutes it's hitting up here. So
yeah,
we always do try to give each other a little heads up.
That's like it always rains at my place before Drew. And they'll be like not even hunting, but they'll be at work and they'll be like, it's raining here, and they'll be like, time to pack up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a pretty bad hunt. I got soaking wet. I ended up taking all my clothes off, not all of them, but my shirt and my hat. I just had them hanging in the tree.
I was hunting that day because I remember you.
I literally took my shirt and just wrung it out, and I mean I could have filled up a bucket with it. That was the wettest I've ever been hunting.
So you said you got wet walking in, but it didn't start raining until I was sitting down. And I saw the black cloud coming.
Well, I'm saying
I'm about to get wet.
I'm saying I got wet walking in from the rain earlier in that day.
Oh, okay.
I think. Just where the field was wet. And
yeah,
stuff.
my boots filled up that day. It was running down my pant legs.
Terrible idea.
Colton, worst hunt.
I definitely think mine was my first saddle hunt, without a doubt.
10 foot up.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was the fact that I didn't practice with it at all. I just watched videos. It was supposed to be a perfect morning. It was like the first cold front morning we had, and I was like, I got home late from work, didn't have time to practice with my saddle. I had just gotten all my stuff in that week for saddle hunting. So I was like, screw it, it can't be that bad. And I advise you, if you get into saddle hunting, your first one sticking especially, to practice with it a couple times before you just go out there blindly at 4 a.m. in the morning.
I practiced
trying to go up a tree. I got up there, didn't have my stick for my bow to hang on, so I was literally pretty much, I had it tied, I ended up tying it to my tether on my, for my going down the tree. But soaking wet of sweat because I was wearing warm clothing trying to get up a tree because it was like 40 degrees that morning. And I didn't think to strip down before I went up the tree. So I'm soaking wet of sweat. By about daybreak, I'm freezing to death because I'd done sweated so much. And I kicked my bow out of the tree. Literally kicked it and knocked it down to the bottom of the tree. Luckily, I retrieved it. But by far, that was like the worst hunt. And I was about ready to kill Drew because I was like, I seen a couple of deer, nothing to really was like woo excited about.
Right home about.
Yeah, but I was ready to kill Drew because he made saddle hunting sound so easy, and I was like, screw
Keep
this.
in mind, this guy's one sticking with a 3-step hop with the tie down.
Yeah, the tie down's literally
that's the worst part.
Yeah, I'll soon learn how to work with it, but I'm definitely going with the cam cleat as soon as it comes in now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say my worst hunt was last year, hunting my target buck. 12 hours I sat in the stand, did not see a single deer all day. Phone died. Luckily, I had my portable charger.
Ran out of snacks.
ate my snacks about 9 o'clock, all of them. Drank all my water. Had to pee. I didn't pee out of the stand, but I definitely did not go far from the stand when I peed. But it was miserable. I ain't gonna lie.
All day hunts are by far like, I don't care who you are unless you're just sitting in a recliner the whole time hunting.
If I'm seeing deer, I can do it.
Yeah, but even then though, it still gets very tiring and miserable unless you just see action all day. But I've never been on all day.
On the outdoor channel.
Yeah, it's not like it is.
Like a high fence and
we'd all be doing it all the time if we seen 3 or 4 year old bucks chasing 9, 10, 11, 12, 1.
But for me, yeah, I agree on that.
What about you, Nathan?
I would say my worst hunt, probably last year. I had a target buck I was hunting for 3 years in a row. Never had laid eyes on him personally. And as far as being in deer season, you'd see him out in hayfields, stuff like that in August. But I think it was Halloween last year. First cold front of the year come in. Seen deer all evening. Like I say, it was kind of overcast. I think, well, surely it ain't gonna rain. It started raining. And to me, it surprised me that where I was kind of at in this bottoms, it started raining, and it seemed like more deer came out in the rain. And of course, my target buck comes out, and that's really when I really wasn't too focused on the way wind could mess you up, real bad. And deer came out perfect, 35 yards. It was just too much brush for me to shoot through my bow. Had it all on film. Come 35 yards, just coming around the end of right where I could be able to shoot. And it was just like a light switch. One deer caught my wind, and the whole field scattered. And that was by far probably, just kind of one of the things you're sitting there and it's like, man, why am I even hunting? Stuff like this right happening. Just 3 more seconds to kill a 150-inch deer and something like that happens. But ended up working out, killed a 153-inch 11-pointer. So, but I really, it's like kind of said a while ago. Every hunt I've kind of been on, you kind of seem like you learned something from it. Me, but about as far as being bad hunts, that's probably up there in the top 5.
All right, last question. What's your dream hunt? Whoever wants to start on that.
I'd definitely say like elk hunt and probably Colorado. That's like what I've always wanted to go on. 100%. No, I don't. I'm not like where exactly it's at. I don't care, but like I've always wanted to go on a good Colorado elk hunt. Bow hunt.
Definitely.
Archery season's a good time.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle of their rut.
Yeah.
Be cool, bugle and get a response and stuff like that.
I'd say for me it'd be probably elk hunt in Wyoming.
Wyoming, yeah.
Probably.
That's not a big state that people talk about, but I've watched the videos.
They say New Mexico got some big elk too.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about.
Are you on the same page, or what do you think?
I would say elk's up there, but me personally, just the kind of thing I want to get off my list is I'm either Iowa or Kansas deer hunt. That's just on my list.
That's right up there with elk hunt.
Yeah, because out there, and then deer, there's not only the racks are big, but it's just you've got deer out there that are field dressing 275 pounds. It's just they're in my opinion, a complete different breed of deer than around here. And with Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, them not being bait states, I think that's if Kentucky would take baiting away for 2 years. I think me personally, of course, I'm just like anybody else. I've never not hunted without a corn pile. That's just me. But I think if Kentucky took away baiting for 2 years,
I agree, it'd be wild. Probably.
That you would be surprised how many of the deer you see they're 2.5, 3.5, 4.5 years old. Hey, Jimmy over here in the deer stand in rival season sees a good buck, shoots it, going to his corn pile. I would think, of course, it would be a new ball game for just me like anybody else. But I would think if Kentucky took away baiting, you would be surprised how many big deer you could get to grow up 6.5 years old.
It wouldn't even be like that in those 2 years. It would be like that if they just completely banned it all together.
Yeah.
About 4 years afterwards, the complete different turnaround on population on deer would
Maybe
be.
we should hope for that daggone
CWD.
No.
Just one case of it though.
Yeah.
One case of it, like 3 counties over, it would shut all of us down on baiting.
But I would say definitely elk up there. Of course, anybody else wants to kill a black bear, Alberta, but by far Iowa, Kansas deer hunt's probably my dream hunt. I'd say.
Alberta black bear?
Yeah, I heard they're different up there.
It's different.
Yeah.
Which was gonna be some exotic.
Zebra.
Want to kill a daggone giraffe.
Nah, I wouldn't shoot a giraffe. I'd shoot a zebra, but I'm gonna say grizzly bear.
Ooh.
Man, that would be pretty good.
That would be cool to kill a grizzly.
Grizzly bear, like Alaska.
Yeah.
Or like Canada.
One of them ones you get dropped off an airplane 45 miles
like
from town.
like a seaplane
Yeah.
out on the water.
Something like a big island. Or
Yeah.
something.
Bow or
camp
gun?
for 2 weeks.
Probably a gun. If I was hunting with a bow, I'd be carrying a big old pistol.
Yeah, grizzly bears eat them, man. They don't.
I've heard they're aggressive.
Yeah.
They say black bears ain't that bad. Black bears are like mock chargers. They're just mean.
Black bears, like we hunt in North Carolina. The only time you get a black bear charging you if it's a sow with cubs.
Yeah.
We walked up to black bears and poked them in the butt with. We run them with dogs, but poked them in the butt with a gun barrel and they take off running.
Yeah.
I mean they.
Grizzly bear's gonna take your face off.
Yeah. They're a lot more aggressive. They're a lot bigger.
Yeah.
A lot bigger claws on them too.
Yeah.
Mess you up. But yeah, that'd probably be me.
I think next year, I don't know about y'all, I know we've talked about it, but just going on more out of state hunts.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I definitely like to go into which right now, like Iowa, it's like a 3-year thing, and I've heard Kansas, it's like a 50-50,
Yeah.
you know, mix on getting drawed for archery. But
Every time if you ever get your name in the system 2 or 3 times, they start noticing that you've got a better chance of getting
yeah,
it. You know,
that's what I've heard.
I know
too.
Iowa, it's every 3 years you get drawn out there. So
Yeah, but elk hunt, it's just.
I think that's kind of everybody's #1 hit list. To kill
But,
elk.
well, I mean,
you know,
the thing is with elk hunting, it's just such a drastic hunt to go on.
And it's a lot different than hunting a whitetail.
Yeah.
It's a. I mean, I've hunted them in eastern Kentucky, and I watched another podcast, and they were talking about hiding. Like, for whitetail, you want to be behind the brush.
Yeah.
For elk, you want to be in front because
Yeah.
they can't see near as good. And I could definitely see that because I had a bull at 15 yards, you know, right in front of me, and didn't care what. I was on a rock. I was sitting actually. There was a rock face. I mean, he just walks up, didn't even care, didn't even know I was there, but kept walking, didn't run, didn't do nothing. You know, on a whitetail, you're sitting there, they're gonna, you know,
And you know,
instantly
like
spot you.
the Outdoor Channel, they make it seem like you can just basically walk up on them at 40 yards and poke them.
yeah.
But like, the wind plays a huge part in hunting them because that's what they mainly depend on is their nose.
Yeah.
It's just being downwind of them to hunt them.
Yeah, it seems like every most like elk guys you see, they're constantly with their wind checkers.
They're wind checkers out there
24/7.
checking it. And I mean, I think the biggest thing is just price. If you want to go, I've looked at prices for them, and I mean, it's just like,
Especially if you want a guide or something.
if you want a guide, it's the one that I seen, multiple that I seen, it was between $6 to $8 grand just for a guide for a 5-day hunt, and there's 2 hunters. So you don't even really get that 5 days to hunt.
Well, I think if you're gonna spend the money and go halfway across the country, kill something, I think guiding's the way to go.
Yeah, definitely, but like,
But definitely, you know, you see people going on public land deer hunting, that's cool, but like, people don't realize, you know, them guides are just like anybody else, you know, they've got probably paying their lease payment and stuff like that, but and them guys out there, I've seen videos and podcasts, definitely, them guys know what they're talking about. And
Yeah.
it's just, you know,
And
definitely worth paying for a guided hunt versus.
And public land here,
Public-
public land there is 2 different. I
Yeah.
mean, you get public land here. I mean, there's some huge public land here, but out there, you know, there's 100,000 acres public.
Probably
Just
more than that.
yeah, and I mean, talk
Yeah.
about it in places, you know.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's a whole different ballgame out there. I've never been out that west, but
and I mean, the stuff you have to go through to hunt for elk, because it's not like you can just drive a truck back there, walk 100
No.
yards and shoot one.
No, you go
I mean,
6, 7,
you-
8 miles at a time back
Yeah,
down the middle of
and I
nowhere.
mean, you
And
can't just walk it neither, because if you kill it, then what?
Right.
You ain't backing it out on your back unless you
No,
have
you
a couple of guys there to help you.
Oh, you can back them out.
quarter
Well,
them
you
up.
can, but like, I mean, just one dude
Right.
himself ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, you can. Cam Haynes.
helicopter.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this thing up, guys. Pretty good.
Is that it?
That's it.
Alright.
Appreciate
Alright,
you guys having me. It's been fun.
Yep.
Hopefully y'all get to let me come back sometime.
I'm sure
I
we'll
doubt
have Nathan back.
Maybe we'll probably be posting some duck hunts soon too.
Yeah. Me and
Duck
Troy's
season's-
been had a pretty solid hunt this morning. Old Troy last 2 mornings she's had a real good hunt. So
Killed 124 in 3 days.
yeah, we
Ain't
killed
too
16 this morning. So. Waterfowl season's on us, and before too much longer around the corner, turkey season will be here. So.
Yeah.
Yep, and we're gonna go on doe patrol here soon
Yep.
too. And hopefully Blues Buck will be posted here before long, and then maybe hopefully we'll have another one or 2 we can post.
Yep.
This winter we'll probably do some cooking videos too.
Yeah.
Or something along
Different ways
those
to cook
lines.
minutes and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
If we get cabin
Definitely.
fever enough, might have to.
Yeah. Start snowing. All right, guys, we're gonna cut it off. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Links in the bio. We got TikTok, Instagram. We just got a Facebook too.
Yep.
Make sure to follow that. We'll see y'all next time.
See ya.